Absolutely.
I'm having a great time.
Yeah, good. We had a long, pre-show, so that was fun. We got to know each other better, and I think that's incredible. Um, I just want to say one thing before we begin the show. Today's show. I don't have an author. I don't have a singer. I don't have a politician. We have two amazing trans girls on the show. Trans women, is that better? Okay, yeah. Girls is younger. Um, trans women. So my special guests today are Chloe and Kobe, who are two trans women who, in this climate, are courageous to come forward and be authentic. So thank you for that. Um, these two trans women are members of a self-named group called the Dolls, and I think Chloe kind of named that group, right, Chloe?
Well, in a sense, I use it more often than many other girls, but it's a term that's, I think, kind of nationwide. Maybe, yeah, it's a big historical term.
Yeah, 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 absolutely. So thank you both for coming on the show today. I really appreciate
You're
it.
so welcome.
And
Thanks for having us.
yeah, and I'm looking at the trans community and giving you a big hug today. All my trans folks out there, my audience. This is a show for you. It's been long overdue, and I'm doing it for you. And so these two wonderful people are going to talk about their journey today, and it's going to be very, very poignant. And I hope you all enjoy the show and learn something. Right?
Yeah, oh, I
That's
hope
Absolutely.
what we
so.
want to do today is learn. So it is my custom on the show that the first question I always ask is regarding the guest's beginnings, like a background question. So could each of you, starting with whoever, tell us where you were born, raised, educated, and anything else from the early years you would like to share with the audience? Who wants to go first?
Yeah, I can start. So I was born in Walker, or I was born in Bismarck, North Dakota, but I moved to kind of like the central Minnesota, St. Cloud area and came to Walker for high school. Shout out Leech Lake. I came down to St. Paul for college in 2018, majored in political science, minored in economics and nonprofit management. I went on to get my master's of public policy with a focus in quantitative analysis.
Excuse me.
Yeah. My fun fact that
Amazing.
I like to tell people is that I was in a boys' choir. So, St. John's Boys Choir, wonderful organization.
Okay. So, with that political science degree, are you aiming for something in that field?
So I was working at the legislature in 2022. In fact, I call myself a recovering Republican. I grew up with a very rural background. But after I was laid off in 2022, I was living alone and spent a lot of time with myself. And the precursor to my coming out journey as a trans woman was that I have to live with myself every day. So, who's the person I want to live with?
Hmm. Yeah. And Chloe, what do you say?
So I was born in Bakersfield, California. I moved to the cities about 4 years ago for work. They relocated me out here, and this is where they needed me. I've been here ever since. I didn't go to college. I'm a flight attendant right now, so I spend most of my days
Thank you
traveling the
for
country.
your service. But especially with all the things we're hearing about the airplanes, and that's a very, very important job. Yes.
Yeah, it can be a scary time right now, but we're out here. Um,
Thank you.
yeah,
Hmm.
thanks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And so, do you um, do you have any aims in life to do other things as far as uh, promoting trans issues and visibility?
Yeah, so I think me especially, I just love to inspire my community and help other girls see that they can do, what they want to do. If they want to present themselves in a way that makes them feel comfortable, I want to be like, I've done this. It was scary. I've been there. You can do it too. It's
Yeah,
great.
yeah, amazing.
Absolutely.
That's great, great advice to the audience. People out there that are listening. You know, come out, be yourself, be authentic. Because if they don't see us, me. I'm speaking as a gay man. I'm not speaking, obviously, as in the trans realm. But I really feel we all in the LGBTQ, all the letters, we have to be more visible and be able to be ourselves. Because if you're not out, people don't know that you're there,
Hmm.
and they don't see your humanity, I guess is what I'm saying. So as you probably know by now, this is a safe space, this show. for members of the LGBTQ community to speak their truth as much as you are comfortable. Can you describe to the listeners your coming out journeys, both of you, uh, and to becoming your authentic selves, and don't be afraid to say what happened, because people out there may have the same experience and want to hear that and validate what they were going through as well. So who wants to start with that one?
I think I'll take the lead on this one.
Okay.
So this is actually, I think I've known for a long time, since I was young, that I was trans or very leaning femme. I had an interest in feminine things. I would get ridiculed by my parents and my father about the way that I walked or the way that I walked with my hands. It was too feminine. Or I remember one time as a child, I was changing my shirt in my room and my mom came in and I wanted to hide myself. And she was like, "Why do you need to hide yourself? You're not a girl, like, men can walk around with, t-shirts off and whatever." But it just made me feel uncomfortable. And as a teen, I remember coming out to one of my friends and being like, "I think I might be trans." And it was a very difficult life as a teen. There was struggles with depression and just kind of un feeling something wasn't complete. A long story short, I ended up moving out of my parents. I like didn't talk to them for years, and I spent so much of my life confused and not knowing what was going on that I didn't get to think about being trans for years. It wasn't until I moved out to the cities and I started performing as a drag performer, just getting dolled up and having fun,
Hmm.
that I realized, doing drag helped me microdose the most fun parts about being a woman. I would go out and I would be celebrated, and I would feel comfortable with what I saw in the mirror, and it really just brought me so much joy. So one day I just realized that I don't want to live pretending that I'm not myself anymore, and I decided to live my life as I am, every day since then. The first flight that ever worked was to Williston, North Dakota. And I don't know if you know anything about Williston, North Dakota,
No.
but it's
Sorry.
it's
Probably cold. That
yeah,
that I know.
it
Yeah.
gets cold, but it's just like I think they do like oil there, so it's like a rough and tough oil town,
Oh, okay.
very macho. All the men on the flight, they're big and burly and very, you know,
Hmm.
straight. So,
Hmm.
but nobody gave me any trouble on that flight, and if I can do it there, I can do it in
Do
my
it
community,
anywhere.
and so can you.
Hmm. Wow, that's amazing. What I find so beautiful, what you just said, was look when you said you looked in the mirror and you loved yourself. That's so nice. See, because I looked in the mirror and I didn't. Uh, I used to say, God, why am I acting like a girl? Why do I have to act like a girl? The boys don't like it. My family makes fun of me. Act more like a boy. Boys don't play with that toy. Uh, I always talked about toys that I wanted as a kid, and they were always girls' toys. Um, but I never. The funny thing is, a gay boy, I never saw the gender issue. I always saw the behavioral issue. Does that make sense? Like I always felt that I was acting different. Um, I didn't dislike my image as far as my appearance. I always disliked my mannerisms. I used to crack gum. I remember that was another thing that kids used. That only girls do that because girls crack gum.
Mhm.
And I did that. So there were a lot of things I could remember I was being ridiculed about. So thank you for saying that you looked in the mirror and you loved what you saw. That's really a step ahead of most people, I would say, right?
I don't think so.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so Kobe's turn now.
Yeah, I feel like I relate in a lot of ways where like I loved the opportunity to like paint my nails once or twice in my childhood. Like I wanted to play dolls with my sisters,
Mhm.
even though they didn't want to play with me because I was a boy. And I look back now at my transness just screaming at me, but not ever having the opportunity to pursue it. Um, I would say like even in like video games, I'm sure we have a lot of people listening that love video games. I always played as a girl and I didn't know why I liked playing as a girl in the video games, but I did.
Sounds
Um,
familiar.
Been
mhm,
there.
yes.
Yes.
One memorable moment that came out in my transness was I in my unemployment journey, I decided I'm gonna take a like a solo trip by myself, really kind of like do some soul searching. So I was like, what better place to do that than Long Beach, California?
Mm.
And so I went out there, and my first night, I had flown in maybe like 1 p.m. So I went out. I was like, let me go check out some queer bars and just see where the night takes me. And I sit down. There's this wonderful woman. Her name is Kia, trans woman, but she recognized my feminine energy immediately. So she struck up a conversation knowing that I clearly knew no one in that bar. And she gave me the most beautiful metaphor I'd ever heard. And it was that for some people, it's like a train. You get on the train and then you get off at the stop, and maybe it's just like painting your nails on the weekends and like you just do some of that. And for some people, that's not enough. So they get back on the train. And maybe that goes into, maybe they dress up, and maybe when they're not at work, they like to still present in this femme persona. And for some people, it's still not enough. So they want to get back on that train. And that might turn into finally going into work in a femme persona, or go in as just like who they are and making it more full time. And again, for some people, that's not enough. And so some people get on, and that's when they maybe pursue HRT. For those who don't know, that's hormone replacement therapy. And again, some people decide that's not enough, and they get back on that train and they want to physically manifest their femininity. And maybe that's top surgery, that maybe that's bottom surgery. Um, and I think that it was so beautiful to hear that in my very fresh coming out story. Because for me, I lived since like ninth grade. I was a gay man, but I was just very dissatisfied. Like I had my like sexuality down, but there was something that was unsettling about my own personal identity. And that's what I went out to sort out. And it was the best thing I could have ever done.
That's a good point about what you just said, because again, people out there in the straight world, there is sexuality and gender identity. They're very different. Actually, and you guys can, confirm for me, there are trans girls that are heterosexual,
Oh yeah.
that were heterosexual, and when they transitioned, stayed attracted to girls, right? Am I
Yes.
right?
Yes. In
So
fact, in my friend group, I almost feel like me being into cis men, I feel like the minority. I feels like there's a lot of trans women who
is
are
that
into
so?
women.
Oh
Oh
yeah.
wow, I never knew that.
Yeah.
I thought it was transitioning and staying, attracted to your former gender. But no, I guess not, huh? Because look at Caitlyn Jenner. She's a perfect example. I mean, I'm not a fan, but she was Bruce Jenner at one time. She's an Olympian, transitioned to a female, and she still is attracted to females, women.
We like what we like.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're different. You see, that's why we have LGBTQ. That's why we have it as one group, because we are all in the same bag. We all being discriminated because of whether we are attracted to somebody of the same gender or same sex, or we're transitioning and we have a different gender identity. So
Yeah.
we have to accept people for who they are. We're all human beings, and this is what the show is about today. I really thank you for bringing that up too. That's incredible. So was it some? Well, one of you can answer this. I don't know, whichever one of you wants to bring this up, because was there an incident or a moment in your life where the light bulb went off and said, "I'm doing this"? And what was that moment? If any of you want to bring that up.
For me, I think it was just my trip in LA. It was like I finally had an opportunity to shed everything about who I was and just truly be whoever I wanted to be. And I was thriving living in my own skin. I still had facial hair in the moment. I was very feminine, but very male presenting still. But
Mhm.
I just felt so alive.
Not now. You're a beautiful young lady.
Oh, I think
I have to say young because I'm old. So yes. How about you, Chloe?
For me, it kind of sounds a little bit more sad, but I think of my experience as kind of like a phoenix rising, in that really my story is I had struggled with depression and painful thoughts for most of my life for reasons that I won't get into right now.
Sure.
But what's relevant is when I really decided to present myself as I am every day, you know, unfiltered, not just when it's convenient, not when it's safe. Every day I want to live as myself, as Chloe. I was actually in a psychiatric hold because I was struggling with the idea that I could go on with my life as it was. And while I was in there, I had my long blonde hair, and I told the staff, I was like, I want to go by Chloe. And I was in there for a week, and as my facial hair was growing out, as my makeup wouldn't stay on, as I was in there, they were still calling me Chloe. They were still saying she, her pronouns. And I thought if I could do it here, I can do it anywhere in the world. Anywhere, every day.
What a beautiful person you are. What a bright light. Really. I mean, you got me emotional here. Oh, okay. Let's move on to I love her too. She's incredible. Um, let's go on to Kat Rohn. Now, Kat Rohn is the executive director of the organization called Outfront Minnesota. They do amazing work for trans and gay people. And she made a statement, a poignant statement. I spoke to her on my show, and I want to read her statement to you and see if we get some input from the two of you. Kat is quoted as saying, "The needs are urgent, and we must prioritize the safety and well-being of everyone in our community. Our work for LGBTQ plus equality must be in concert with efforts on racial justice, public safety, environmental justice, reproductive rights, and housing justice. That fusion has the power to transform our world for the better." Isn't that an amazing statement?
It's really powerful.
Truly.
Yeah, because there are other groups suffering as well. You know, the LGBTQ community, the women's rights, are being curbed every day. Women's
Mhm.
reproductive health is being curbed, um, and racial injustice. What do any of you want to comment on that statement?
I mean, Paul Wellstone would say we all do better when we all do better. So I think we need to uplift each other.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I would agree. Following up, I think community is the strongest thing that we can have and can build. And I think with that, we only get stronger.
Mhm. Well, that's why this station, it's called the Progressive Voice of Minnesota for a reason. We're not. This station just doesn't talk about LGBTQ community. It talks about African American issues, Latino issues, women's issues, health care, the whole gamut. Because we are not one dimensional in the progressive community. We are one group that we all have each other's backs, and that's really, really super
Yes.
important this time.
Hmm.
And unfortunately, we didn't win the election last November,
Hmm.
but we're not gonna double over and cry and lose our stinking minds.
Absolutely not.
We're not succumbing. We have to fight back. If somebody's trying to take our rights, we have to be there and fight for them because we didn't come this far for nothing. So
Yes.
anyway, we're going to take an early break, and the reason I want to do that is because I want to come back and talk about queer hatred
Mm.
and how we can fight back against that. My name is Philip Anthony. This is the Downright Upright Show here on AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
You are beautiful in every single
You should have your own show.
I used to do these like shows for my this co-op I used to work at up in high school. It was called Green Scene Gone Live. But my shtick was I'd always pretend like I'm wiping the table and I go, "Oh hi, I didn't see you there. Welcome to the farmers market." And it was the cutest.
How nice. Oh, when Adam comes back, we'll continue. So we're going to talk about queer hatred. We're going to talk about the dolls, how'd you came up with the name, and yada yada. Okay, let's put our headphones back. And Adam's back.
All right, we've given you the extra minute since you went out early, so the timer for this segment is 21.
Yeah. And the only reason I did that is I didn't think I'd have enough time in a minute or 30 seconds really to answer this question.
No, and that was a good call because I could kind of see where your question was going next. Like, we only got 2 minutes.
I didn't want to, and that's another thing. Producers get very nervous when the talk show host goes over time. They're like, no, So I'm aware of that now. I've been doing this 3 years, so 2.5.
Oh, good for you.
So I'm kind of I'm getting up there in experience, I guess. Okay,
All right, I'm
ready?
gonna
Go, Adam.
I'll get going here in just a moment. You'll hear your bumper music coming up. It looks like it's Born This Way.
Welcome back to the Downright Upright Show. My name is Philip Anthony. I am the host of this wonderful show. I don't say so myself. I'm here with Chloe and Kobe. And what a show this is. This show is really getting to my heart, really. I'm hoping that people out there will learn that we are just people, and and all we want is the same rights as everybody else. We don't want more rights. We want the same.
Literally.
Right.
We just want you to let us walk the streets in peace. We just want you to let us get married. We just want, we want to be safe. That's all we ask. And
Everyone deserves a rich and fulfilling life.
yeah, exactly. So we're going to talk about queer hatred now. Do you guys think that American society as a whole will ever get over queer hatred or not? What are your, because now we're getting into a time, we have 4 years of, this president and who's constantly, bringing us down a peg, what say you guys?
I think that as long as there's like violence against queer people being normalized, we will never get over it. Like there will always be people who think they can jump you on the train. There will always be people who think that they can bully you, harass you. It's really difficult to say.
Yeah. Do you get, this is an awful question, but I have to ask it. Do you still get dead named?
So for me, I feel comfortable saying my dead name because I did it.
No, you don't have to if you
No.
don't want to.
In my journey. My boy name was Kobe, but I didn't want a new name, so I was like, let's just rebrand this one into Kobe. It's how my mom always pronounced it, like going to like school and stuff, and I really liked that, so I decided to keep it.
Well, you're just a powerful person. You don't give a what.
Thank
I
you.
love that because I want all trans people to be like you. I want you to walk in your shoes and be proud of who you are, and you're just doing it, honey.
Thank you.
Love you.
It means a lot to hear that.
No, hey, I was there, been there, done that, got the T-shirt, So, oh God, I don't want to talk about me because this is all about you. It's us gays went through a time too in the 70s and 60s and 80s, especially during the AIDS crisis, where we were walking in your shoes now. What's happening to you guys, we went through that.
Mhm.
So I, as a person, a human, can look at this, what's happening in this country, and I don't go for it. I can't. And I will be there for you guys until my last breath. I'm telling you. And
Thank
that's
you.
why I have the show. I mean, I will continue to support the trans community until my last breath. Do you want to say anything, my friend Chloe, about that? About queer hatred?
Queer hatred.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Did I strike a nerve here?
I think I just experience so much of it. I think even in this day and age,
did?
still, yeah.
Would you only if you're comfortable to share? Would you want to share like one thing, but don't name anybody or
No. Yeah.
just the incident? Yeah.
So I have various incidences, even when I'm at work or when I'm going out, of just being misgendered.
Yeah,
I present myself.
really.
Yeah,
You don't
you'd be
look
surprised.
you don't look like me.
Yeah.
My gender. So where are they getting that from?
That's what I would like to know.
I don't know.
I'm dolled up with nice hair. I do makeup every day. I don't
Right.
have any facial hair on me. I'll
Yeah.
be in the prettiest little dress. And then they go, "What can I get you, sir?" And I go,
What?
and it just confuses me. And sometimes it'll just be a genuine mistake and they go, I am so sorry. But I've had instances where they just kind of double down and it's like,
I'm sorry.
It's like a gut punch every time.
Yeah, I'm so sorry.
yeah,
That's unnecessary. Really.
yeah.
I mean, you know what I say on my show? If you guys listen, I don't know. But my name's Philip, right? And if you looked at me and said, Tom, how are you doing? And I said, no, my name is Philip. And you're calling me Tom after I told you my name is Philip. That's insulting and degrading to the person.
Mhm.
The same thing when it comes to trans people. If they're saying their pronouns are she, her, use them. And if it's a
Yes.
trans man, he, him, use them.
And the
Don't
thing is,
be rude.
we do it a lot for people, like cis people too. Like if your name's Richard, we call you Dick. It's like we'll call you
Do
what
you?
you want to be.
Okay. That's funny. See, we could inject. See, we're so comfortable with ourselves that we can inject humor into this, even though it's a
Absolutely.
serious thing,
Yeah.
serious subject. But you guys are just incredible. I hope you come on the show again. Oh my God, I'm just enjoying this show. I really am.
I'm having a great time too.
Powerful people you are. Really, you really don't
you.
realize that. I'm going to tell you you're powerful because you're coming out here and you don't give a rat's patootie what people are going to say. You're just, I'm me, like it or lump it, as we used to say in the old days. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the next question. We're going to talk about the dolls. And I think this is Chloe's question, right? Because
Yeah.
she is the one that brought this word forward. How did you come up with the name? Is that you that created it, or was it the group? And who are the dolls?
So I didn't come up with the word. As far as I'm aware, it's just been around, like an informal like name to refer to like trans women and trans girls.
Uh-huh.
And I use it as a term of endearment, and that's mostly how I'm familiar with the term.
So when a trans, again, as a gay man, you have to educate me. If you're a trans girl, a trans woman, and you're referring to other trans girls or trans women, you use she's a doll. Is that a term that you would say is acceptable?
I'd say that it can go either way. Some people are not comfortable with it. Some are comfortable with it. People who are uncomfortable, what I've heard is that it kind of like brings out the like this sentiment of an artificial, like you're just playing dress up, and that's not really what we're doing. We
Oh.
are women, but when
I
some
see
people who
that,
don't like
yeah.
it get called a doll, it feels like there's that artificial piece to it. But
Wow, I didn't think of it that way. Thank you. It's amazing.
absolutely.
Oh God. Okay. And how about you? Do you feel that way about the word, or
I don't. I think to go on the other spectrum that are okay with it, I just
please?
see them as like they're pretty and perfect and they're like to the T's, these cutest little things. So it's like, yeah, me and the dolls are gonna come out. We're gonna go party.
Yes.
Again, generation gap here. You guys are so much younger than me. When I was a kid, when a young girl was pretty, they would say, "Oh, she's such a doll." So it was a reinforcing word that propped them up to like cute, the ultimate cuteness, I guess would be the word. So I could see both. I could see your point, and I can see Chloe's point, because I think that's what's wonderful about our community. We can accept words and reject them
Yes, absolutely.
and go for it. Whatever, do you, right, guys?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I'm saying guys, and I hope I use
I
that.
use it.
Yeah.
I hope
okay,
you're
I'm
not
okay
taking
with
that.
it.
Yeah. I call everybody guys. When I'm in a group and there's girls and boys and men and women and yada yada, I just, hey guys, how you do?
Yeah.
It's my term. I don't. Maybe we should come up with a better word. But
Folks.
I like folks.
Gals.
Oh, I like folks. Absolutely. Okay, so this is another question coming up here. What can we do as a community to ensure that our LGBT family feels safety and belonging going forward? Now, because safety is a really big thing for me. I almost got gay bashed a couple of times back in the day. I remember, this is how bad it was. We used to have to look both ways when we got out of the car before we went into the gay bar, because if we were seen walking in there, they'd wait for you to come out and, do something. And I remember many times running for my life
Oh my
for people
gosh, yeah.
chasing me. Yeah, in the Village, which was in New York. The Greenwich Village was very gay in those days. Um, but that's why they went there, to look for trouble. Does that make
Mhm.
sense?
Yeah.
You wouldn't go to a straight neighborhood and look for gay guys, because you probably wouldn't find them. So you would go to the gay neighborhoods like Greenwich Village, Chelsea, and you would, pick on gay men. What say you guys about this issue?
I would say
Safety.
my number one thing, not necessarily around like physical safety, but like mutual aid is so important because if the government is going to pull funding for so many very necessary services, we need to come out for each other. We can't just say we're going to wait for 4 years and hope that everyone votes the way we would like to.
Yeah.
Like that means giving your time, giving your energy, giving your skills, giving your money
Yeah.
to like people in need, people in your community. When you have a friend who has a bill that needs to be paid, because the thing about mutual aid is it needs to be mutual. I give to you because someday I may need you to give to me, and the government may not always do that for us, but we
Well,
can take
we've seen that.
responsibility for
Yeah.
one another.
Absolutely. Yes. Chloe.
Yeah, I agree. Community is so important to us, and kind of continuing to uplift each other and support each other, especially in this time, is so important. As for tomorrow, well, we're getting together, and I have a friend coming over who has never been dressed up or dolled before. So I'm like, we're gonna do your makeup. You can wear anything in my closet, and just this small, act of solidarity and being like, I'm gonna support you through something that's scary for you.
Mhm.
Is something that I feel makes us feel safe.
And I can already
Yeah.
tell when tomorrow comes, I'm sure that person is gonna light up like a Christmas tree.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is a person. You don't have to answer, but is this a person that thinks they're trans and they're trying to try it out? Is that what's happening here?
So what I know about this person is that they use she her pronouns. However, they've never been dolled up. They're like still very well, to a degree, mask presenting. So this is going to be the first time they've really stepped out of their comfort zone
Uh-huh.
to identify or present themselves more femly.
Yeah, yeah. Is that okay? Please educate me, people. Okay, again, I'm an old gay man. Um, are people who present masculine in your case, in your friend's case, they present masculine, but they use she her pronouns. Are those people usually considered non-binary? Is that the term that they're using nowadays?
Non-binary is its own separate
Explain then.
Yeah.
I want to learn that.
So people can be, there are like two parts. There's like people who use like he him as like a gender construct and she her like in that own like that binary. But for a lot of folks that I've met, like being non-binary is a lot of times just rooted in like just being themselves. They don't necessarily subscribe to this idea of what this box that we've all described men or like people with he him pronouns to be, or like women or people who use she her pronouns to be. This like mask versus feminine kind of spectrum. You can be mask and still be non-binary. You can be mask and still be a woman.
Yes. And I know plenty of them. I do. Anyway, wow. I love this show. This is great. You guys are educating me. I want to do this again. I really do, because
Let's do
again,
it.
I'm gonna full disclosure, you guys. Okay, I'm going to be 65. I'm about to be on Medicare in another 2 months. Happy birthday, Philip. And I was brought up in a different time, and I'm learning, and I want to learn, and I want to be a cheerleader for you. So I don't want to miscommunicate. And having you here, especially young people who are trans, educate me, because you'll never have me as an enemy, but I may say something that sounds stupid or uneducated, and I don't want that to happen.
I think accountability is the big piece, and accountability is actually quite liberating because no one is perfect, and we all know that we're going to make mistakes.
Mhm.
But if you're comfortable with the emotion surrounding accountability and saying, "You're right, this is how what I said affected you or made our community seem, but I'm going to own it and I'm going to fix it and make it better."
Yeah, you got to do that.
Yeah.
You got to. I mean, I plead ignorance, and there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think everybody should know everything, I mean, if you guys live to be my age, maybe it's going to change to something else in the future, and you'll be educated by somebody young.
Wouldn't be we would be so blessed to have people like that.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Yes. So I hope you understand where I'm coming from. I want to learn. I want to learn. I hope the audience wants to learn. I hope the audience doesn't want to, be dead naming people and using the wrong pronouns. And why do we have to do that? And, why? Like asking the question why right there, you're wrong. You're not being accommodating to people who are just asking, use she, use her. That's how I want myself to be addressed
Mhm.
as.
Mhm.
Am I using the right grammar? Yes. Okay. So did you want to pick up on that, Chloe? Or are you kind of done there?
I think I'm kind of done there.
Okay. she's kinda done. We're kind of done on that subject. Okay. So for the next few questions, this is the down part of the show. I want to talk about vicious attacks on the trans community signed by the current president via executive orders, because your feedback, your voice on these matters is valuable. Me speaking as a gay man on these issues is not as impactful as you guys. So that's why I'm going to bring this up. So the first thing, 7 people have filed a federal lawsuit challenging the current president's executive order declaring that the U.S. government would only recognize a person's sex assigned at birth on government-issued documents. You guys know that. That's been
Right.
signed already. The complaint filed Friday in U.S. District Court in Massachusetts accuses the State Department of rejecting some applications from trans citizens or issuing documents with their sex assigned at birth. Now, what could possibly happen that could go wrong there, right? In the case of one trans man, he stated, quote, "I lived virtually my entire life as a man. Everyone in my personal and professional life knows me as a man. And any stranger on the street who encountered me would view me as a man," said this Massachusetts resident and plaintiff Reed Solomon Lane. This has been in all the papers, Reed Solomon Lane, a trans man, in a statement provided by the American Civil Liberties Union, or the ACLU, if you want to use that for sure. Love them. They're fighting for you guys.
Yes.
Yes.
They
they're
really
doing
are. They're
important work
fighting
for
for
our
us
communities.
too. Solomon Lane added, quote, "I thought that 18 years after transitioning, I'd be able to live my life in safety." That's why I brought that word up before too. "And ease. Now, as a married father of 3, Trump's executive order and the ensuing passport policy have threatened that life of safety and ease. If my passport were to reflect a sex designation that is inconsistent with who I am, I would be forcibly outed every time I use my passport." Comments, guys.
Actually, I have a very recent example. I just went to get my license renewed because I just turned. I'm turning 25, and I remember the lady at the counter had asked me, like, did you want to apply for Real ID? And I had heard about people's documents being confiscated, and I felt that if I had to show my passport and if it was incongruent with the the female that I had put on my license, I was worried she was going to take my passport. So I've just accepted that if I'm going to travel, I'm just going to use my male passport, and if they have a problem, I'll deal with it at that point.
Wow. So if you have a passport already, will they're going to confiscate that and change it to your birth gender?
So my passport's still designated as male, with a male photo too. But yeah, I'm not. Repeat the question.
Yeah. So, because again, I'm pleading ignorance here. I don't know what they're going to do with people that already have a document that says they're female. For in your case,
Oh.
female. What happens now? Do they take that away and then, make you change it? I guess.
Well, I think that's one thing that I think about is like we're so blessed to be in Minnesota where
Yes.
we do protect, trans rights, women's rights. And so along this, I feel safe in Minnesota using my, incongruent documents. However, there are people across that if I was traveling to another state, I think I would just rather use my female license and never even bring my passport.
Yeah. But this man, this trans man got it right on, hit the nail on the head here. It's safety. It's safety. People are going to look and say, wait a minute here. You know what I'm saying? Like you just said, incongruent. That's the word I was looking for. Chloe, did you want to add to that quickly?
Yeah, I think that it frightens you because what happens when they look at this ID and I can imagine this trans man, very masculine, the way that trans man transition, I mean, they they pass very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And for him for doing it so long, like this, are they going to do secondary searches? Like, what does this mean? Like, what does this mean for him?
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Well, I have another thing that came up with an executive order, keeping men out of women's sports. That's a new one that he signed. I have a very brief time. Can you just touch on it, and then we'll take a break, and then we'll come back and talk more about that subject.
Yeah, sounds great. I think there, at least with the college level, there are so few college
I was going to
athletes.
say that. Yeah.
Yeah, that
8.
Yeah,
I think
8.
it is. Out of 550.
yeah,
Oh my
1,000.
gosh.
Yeah.
And-
Anyway, we'll come back and we'll ask you as well. My name's Philip Anthony. This is the Downright Upright Show here on AM 950, the progressive voice of the great state of Minnesota.
I am what I am. I don't want praise. I don't want pity. I bang my own drum. Some think it's noise. I think it's pretty. And so what if I love you, sparkle and you spangle?
A little dance. It's come on, people now. Smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now. That's it.
Don't quit your day job.
That's great.
At least it wasn't the Chris Gaines version.
Well, the Who version?
The Chris Gaines version.
Did he do that too?
Yeah, if you remember, Garth Brooks years ago had the alternate identity in like 96, 97.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he put out a rock album, and that was the main single off of that. It was Garth Brooks as Chris Gaines.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so
Oh, wow. I gotta look that up on YouTube.
yeah, it's actually very interesting. He was very emo. All right,
Emo. Okay.
so I got your young bloods. You had 30 seconds left over, so we have 10 and a half for this last segment to
yeah.
get you all in.
And I'll start winding down at a minute. I want to thank you both at the end, and then I'm going to thank Adam. I always want to, because you're doing something again for me, and I love you for that. Thank you.
Thank you very
And
much.
I'll bring it up, and you could say, if you want to say, you're welcome or whatever. It's up to you, Adam. But I think it's great that you're doing this for me, because I wouldn't have a producer today because my normal
Thank you.
producer is in in Palm Springs.
Yeah, he went to California.
Oh, California.
Yeah.
yeah.
I told him not to grill out.
Yeah, don't put it
Too
on
soon.
YouTube. I mean, on Facebook. I don't want to see you having a warm, beautiful
Yeah.
time. We're freezing our butts off here.
Yeah, no kidding. All right, we'll
All right.
get you started here. Then we'll
Here
get
we
rolling.
go.
Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together. Try to love one another right now.
To the Downright Upright Show. My name is Philip Anthony. Thank you for joining us again here on the show. And we're here with Chloe and Kobe for the last segment. We're talking about transgender issues. This one is one that's going to fire you up. I think it's firing them up already. We're going to talk about Nancy Mace. She's a representative who's using anti-trans slurs multiple times. And then she said to her Democratic colleagues, "You want penises in women's bathrooms, and I'm not going to have it," unquote. Thoughts?
It's such raw evil. It's used to intimidate us, to remind us that they will never see us as equals of humans worth dignity.
Mm.
You could insert any slur and it's used solely for hate.
Yeah. I mean, if you're in a bathroom and you're peeking through the stall to see somebody's privates, you're a sick person.
Yeah.
It's not happening. I mean, there are no it's usually straight people that are perverts that go into women's bathrooms and peek through if that happens, because I don't know any trans people that would do that.
I'm just trying to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, you
Uh-huh.
just want to, do your thing.
Yeah, I want to be in and out.
Evacuate, as my mom used to say.
Sometimes when I really want to rock the boat, I'll go into like men's bathrooms and I'll pee in a urinal just to show them that like
Oh my
trans
God,
women
I
exist.
love it.
It's my
You do
favorite
that?
flavor of visibility. Yes.
Because you know what you're doing by doing that? This is what you want.
Exactly.
You want me to go present as a woman, but stands up and urinate. Is that what you want
and
in
it
this country?
backfires hard because I've had, I think on 2 occasions, I've had guys almost just like poop their pants because they're like, "Am I in the wrong bathroom?" And I'm like, "No, I'm in the wrong bathroom." But
Oh my
but
God.
yeah,
Chloe, I'm so happy that you introduced me to Kobe.
Isn't she great?
Oh my God. You need a show of your own.
thank you.
Oh my God, you're just incredible. Chloe, anything to say about this?
I think just Nancy Mace needs to refocus her priorities. We are not an issue.
No.
We're your neighbors. We live in your communities, and we just want to be happy like everyone else.
Bingo. Yes. Okay, moving on here. Another executive order banning trans folks from being in the military should be unconstitutional in my book, because you want to fight for your country. Doesn't matter who you are, really, in my book. But the current president signed that executive order into law. What are your insights on this? Because now neither of you are interested in going into the military, but supposedly you wanted to,
Yeah, I would say that, if you want to go and serve in the military, I fully endorse it because you deserve to fight for something that you believe in. On the other
Absolutely.
hand, I'm kind of like, I don't know very many trans people that want to fight for the current U.S. foreign policy, for U.S. hegemony, for a lot of things. I just don't think that they want to spend time in a desert or across the world for something that a lot of people don't believe in.
Yeah, I had a trans friend tell me she used to hang a flag on Flag Day and Memorial Day, Labor Day, and since who became president, she doesn't, because she feels that that's just encouraging more of this negativity and this behavior. Again, you have every right to do what you feel. Chloe, what do you think about the banning trans folks from being in the military?
I think in this current administration and climate, if people are still passionate about wanting to serve, why are you not letting them? If they want to go out there and show support for something they believe in or want to be the difference, that is just, if it's powerful to them, why are you going to stop them?
Yeah.
I also think the government tries to pull resources from a lot of like the trans community. Example, if you can't be in the military as a trans person, you're not going to get access to VA benefits. You're not going to get access to certain like home ownership programs available to veterans. And I think that it creates this second class citizen for trans people in that way, for people who want to serve their nation in the exact same way.
And you win the grand prize. Exactly. That's it. This is the last one executive order. There's probably going to be more to come, but these are the ones I found online. So that's why I'm bringing them up. This is the last one on my list. The current president followed through last week with another executive order banning federal funding or support for youth gender-affirming care for those under 19. So if you're under 19, that's not going to happen anymore. The order directed the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services to publish a review within 90 days of existing literature on best practices for promoting the health of children with gender dysphoria. The order also called for removing federal funding from medical schools and hospitals that research gender-affirming care.
It's peculiar that they chose the age of 19, isn't it?
Yeah, why is what do you
There
think
are
that's about?
A lot of 18-year-olds that are in senior year of high school, and I think that it is another call for trans erasure in schools, period. If you can't be in a public education setting and know that trans people exist, I think that's why they chose 19.
Yeah, but Kobe, they from what I remember them saying, didn't they say kids? We don't want kids to transition, right?
Right.
But 18 to 19-year-olds are not kids anymore.
Right.
They're independent. They can go and live, outside the home and, be them,
Mhm.
So what's this? Why those 2 years? Maybe why not go to 25 for that matter, I mean,
Yeah, that's a great question.
yeah. Chloe.
I think going off to that, it being specifically 19 is, I think, strange. It's a strange cutoff. Following up on Kobe's, I think it is. They want to erase trans people from our public spaces, from our schools, from just our government. They want to pretend we're not here. And they just want to push us off into the world and, we'll find our own space.
Yeah. But see, I feel this way, okay? If someone, let's say they're 16 or 17 and they're almost done with their transition, and they're under a doctor's care, by the way. This is not something they did on a whim. The doctors are approving, disapproving their transition, and they just stop it all of a sudden and they're not completed. How damaging could that be, you guys? Can you educate me on that?
Mm.
Because I don't know if that's ever happened, because we never had that law passed, right?
Right.
Where a kid is, or not a kid, well, yeah, they're 16, I guess they're a kid, but they're transitioning, and they have a few more procedures to be done, and they stop it at that point.
Yeah.
What do you-
Specifically with like surgeries or with HRT, both?
It doesn't specify here what the transition is. I'm gathering. Maybe do you think it's HRT or
Mhm.
is it the?
Do you have any insights? I haven't thought. I guess I haven't thought about this
I never thought of that
particularly.
either. But
Yeah.
I'm bringing it up because, again, as a person who wants to learn,
Yeah.
because that could be happening as we speak with this new executive order,
Right.
that a kid, again, 16-year-old kid, 17, could be in the middle of a transition, and then the hormones just stop, or whatever procedures they're doing just stops. What happens?
Yeah, I think I've heard, and I could be maybe recalling this wrong, but I know that like if you are on like estrogen and like you like stop for sometimes it can like mess with your like bone density.
Okay.
So, and I could be remembering that wrong, and it could be a myth, but that's something that I think is pertinent that
Yeah.
I would love to know more.
Yeah, I think going off of that, if you're on hormone blockers and you're doing, well, let's just say estrogen for, our sake, and then you're completely cut off from that. I mean, 16, I would still think you're going through puberty around those age. Like, how does, suddenly having this testosterone again and no estrogen and no hormone blockers? I mean, what is that going to do to your body?
I don't
It sounds
know.
horrific.
It sounds horrific, yeah. Anyway, unfortunately, guys, we've come to the end of the show, and I want to thank Chloe and Kobe for sharing their time with us on the Downright Upright show. I hope we can do this again sometime in the
Definitely,
future, and maybe
Yeah.
more of the dolls will want to come on.
We would love
Uh,
that.
Yeah.
I just think this show is very, very powerful, and I want to do more of it, because as a gay man, I can't speak for trans people. See, there were a lot of things I didn't know, and I was asking you, and that's why you're here. So again, thank you both for taking the time out to educate the non-trans community on these issues, because they should be learning. And to my audience, thank you for tuning in every Saturday at
Thank
5
you.
p.m. on Downright Upright show. We're going to kiss you, hug you, and wave goodbye. Thank you.
regulations will trade our democracy.
Okay. Put my headphone, my left one on. Okay, does my hair look okay?
I didn't go to college. I'm
Okay, does my hair look okay?
Yeah, I think so.
I didn't mess
Absolutely
it up.
I think it
divine.
looks great. No, you don't have headphone hair or anything.
cities of Minnesota. I don't go for it. I can't.